Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here with Kingsley Edwards of Flote.App, and there's a lot of news coming out about Jeffrey Epstein, and as it should be, a lot of us were worried that the story was going to go away, but the meme war has kept this story alive, and of course what happened recently with the Project Veritas leak from ABC, showing that ABC/Disney basically covered for Epstein for years. Very infuriating for those of us that have any sort of principles regarding journalistic integrity. Very sick. Of course, Jeffrey Epstein is a former hedge fund manager that no one actually ever saw on Wall Street that basically created a blackmail racket with child trafficking, and he's was a convicted pedophile essentially. But there's a lot more to it because his brother is speaking out, and I wanted to get into that first before we get into anything else because this is breaking news. It says out of the New York Post, Jeffrey Epstein was innocent, didn't commit suicide, says brother. And as the article goes into, Jeffrey Epstein's brother insists in a new interview that the financier's shocking death behind bars was no suicide and maintains that the convicted pedophile was innocent of new sex trafficking charges against him. And I quote, "I could see if he got a life sentence, I could then see him taking himself out," Mark Epstein, 65, told the Miami Herald of his late older brother. But he had a bail hearing coming up. Jeffrey Epstein, 66, was found dead of what authorities have ruled a hanging inside his cell at Lower Manhattan's Metropolitan Correctional Center in August. The deep-pocketed hedge funder, who in 2008 copped a sweetheart plea deal in Florida for soliciting an underage girl for sex, had been arrested the month prior in New York in a massive new trafficking case. And I quote, "He was innocent, and until proven guilty, you are entitled to bail in America," Mark Epstein told the Herald. He had a bail hearing in 2 days. He was the most recognizable person on the planet. Where is he going to run and hide? Claiming that his brother was looking forward to his release and revealing that he was going to hire armed guards to keep an eye on him at his own expense, Epstein maintained that his brother didn't kill himself and hinted that he was killed to keep him quiet. And I quote, "Jeffrey knew a lot of stuff about a lot of people." He cryptically told the paper, declining to elaborate, but echoing a popular conspiracy theory that his brother was murdered. Despite Jeffrey's prior conviction and the new charges against him, Mark Epstein defended his brother as someone whose taste in women approached the line but didn't stray over it. And I quote, "Do I think that it was inappropriate for him at age 50 or 60 to be with women who were 18 or 20? Asked Epstein, who lives in New York. Yes, but it certainly wasn't illegal and it wasn't sex trafficking." So let's get into this, Kingsley. This is crazy breaking news because there's just been so much news coming out about him. Michael Baden, who was hired by the family, of course, to investigate his death and do an autopsy, found that it was evident that he was murdered. There's a bone broken in his neck that only 1% of hanging victims actually break, and is usually broken in strangulation cases. It's lower down in the neck, not up here. And also, he was about 6 feet tall and hung himself from a 5-foot high bunk bed. This isn't just in the realm of conspiracy theory at this point. I mean, we have to examine from this level that almost everyone thinks that he didn't kill himself. I mean, it's become such a huge trending topic, actually almost bigger than the taxation is theft hashtag bomb, where almost everyone says that Jeffrey Epstein was murdered. What do you think about all of this?
I think that we've known about Jeffrey Epstein and have I didn't know you back then, but yeah, we've probably been talking about it with other people for over a decade now. Yeah, probably. And back then it was a conspiracy theory, right? And then he gets out, then he goes back in, and then guess what? We all knew that he was going to probably be offed. So it's just ridiculous. I mean, what was it? 2 guards fell asleep. There was 2 cameras outside of his jail cell that malfunctioned. Yeah. I know Mercury's in retrograde, but it's not adding up. Yeah. And it's good to see that a lot of people that normally don't buy into conspiracy theories are taking a serious look at this, because this is this is just the tip of the iceberg as far as what these these types of people in these circles, what they do and how they operate. So I think that it's really important that that we keep spreading the memes and we keep looking into the truth, because I think that we'll uncover a lot that that we're not gonna necessarily like, but it's good to deal with it right now, especially when there's potentially children that are being hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy because he was heard screeching in his cell. There were a bunch of guards that were replaced by substitute guards at the last second. I mean, people in the prison heard guards saying, "Breathe, Epstein, breathe," right before, the ambulance or the paramedics came in and all that. I mean, there's just so much that doesn't add up about this case. Many guards were brought forward to court a couple months ago. And yeah, you look back at our videos here at Wham, just from, I think August when he was first arrested. And we were saying then, pretty obviously, how long until he gets Clinton'd or Hillary'd or whatever. And I mean, basically, we were saying how long until he gets shot twice in the back of the head by his own doing, or how long until he is strangled and hung or something. It's something that most people were thinking. Joe Rogan has been talking about it nonstop on his show. Almost every video that comes out from Joe Rogan lately has been Epstein didn't kill himself. People have been trolling mainstream media about this, and it's been getting crazier and crazier. And something else that really is standing out is this Arizona Republican Paul Gosar's tweets raised Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy theory, as Fox 10 says. And as the article goes into, Arizona Congressman Paul Gosar appears to be signaling support for a conspiracy theory that Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. The Republican congressman sent 23 tweets Wednesday about the first public impeachment hearing examining President Donald Trump's dealings with Ukraine. The first letter of each tweet spelled out Epstein didn't kill himself. And it shows in the article a bunch of the tweets here. I'm not going to go into all of them. I have made a point not to go into the impeachment hearings because you couldn't find a more distracting, boring story. But anyway, one of Representative Gosar's tweets Wednesday afternoon made mentions of Area 51, and then a New York medical examiner ruled Epstein's jailhouse death a suicide, but conspiracy theories have persisted, fueled by Epstein's links to princes, politicians, and other famous, powerful people. And I have to note also that a lot of, stuff has been coming out about these other people that were, possibly set up by Epstein. There's a lot of evidence that he blackmailed people, that he videotaped people. I even remember back in 2016 talk about how Bill Clinton was filmed on the Lolita Express, which he ditched Secret Service, I think 12 times out of the 26 times he was on that plane, that he ditched Secret Service on, and that there's possibly video. And it would make sense if he was an agent that was there to get blackmail on people, because politicians will then do what you tell them to do if you say, well, I got video of you and an underage girl or whatever. And also, I have to note that there's people like the woman, I forget her name, but she came out against Prince Andrew recently, and it's been all over the news, and it's something that ABC actually covered, but they still didn't cover, Epstein for all those years, and then covered it up when Project Veritas came out. They covered all these unsubstantiated claims about all these people without even looking into it, and including claiming that video from a gun range in, I believe, Kentucky was actually footage from Syria, of the Syrian war. They have no problem just throwing that up without any investigation, but then they'll say, we didn't air the Epstein story because we didn't have enough information on it other than, being a convicted child predator. But anyway, what do you think it says about the media and, all these entities not really covering it, despite it being one of the biggest stories, I think, in recent years? I mean, everywhere you look, Epstein didn't kill himself. Epstein didn't kill himself. What do you think?
I think it shows how important, the jobs are that you and other independent journalists are doing, and how, big tech is, how important it is to the fight against big tech and the censorship that's happening, because, you wouldn't have covered this up, and others wouldn't have either. And that's really the reason why, YouTube is what it is because these types of stories were able to be talked about, and the mainstream media, as we know, has been, infiltrated and controlled for a long time. time now, whether it's corporate interests or government interests. I mean, not even just our own government, but Saudi Arabia and in other countries, they own interests in all these corporations. So they do have, it seems like they are controlling the strings a bit, and they have for decades. So just the fact that this is coming to light is really exciting.
Yeah, and I'm going to get into Flote in a moment here because I think it's an important segue from this. But first I want to talk about, with ABC covering it up and knowingly covering it up, I should add, this dates back to a far greater issue that goes back to, for example, BBC covering up for Jimmy Savile for decades as he was one of the most prolific child predators in history. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids, maybe even thousands. A guy who was known to frequent morgues and be left alone for long periods of time. Like, we're talking about a really creepy person, a really despicable person. And the BBC knew about these things. In fact, as people from the BBC said, everybody knew. And this is another guy who's hanging out with the royal family a whole lot, good friends with Prince Charles. But I mean, it just says a lot that they're covering up for that. They're covering up for Epstein at the same time, and Disney of all things, which caters to children. And meanwhile, they also delete videos from like Press for Truth that calls out pedophilia. He did a video calling out how horrible the kind of push towards normalizing pedophilia is. And his video got taken down by YouTube, and he wasn't able to even dispute it. And then at the same time, people like Julian Assange are in prison for spreading factual information. Yet no one looks any further when someone like the ABC News looks the other way when they could expose a child trafficking ring and save hundreds, potentially thousands of lives. Who knows how big this racket gets? There's evidence from the location near Epstein Island that there's more islands in the area that still have these problems occurring today, according to We Are Change, when Luke Rudowski recently went and raided Epstein Island. So, I mean, this is just getting so over the top, so crazy, and I'm just so glad to see so many people talking about it. But when you have the media covering up for child predators, what can we look for in the future to be able to get around that? Because YouTube isn't going to be the place. Just this video might be the nail in the coffin for my channel, because they take down videos that talk about this kind of stuff. And on December 10th, they are going to be basically erasing possibly as many as millions of channels from YouTube under new terms of services that are very vague, that also play into the COPPA regulations and FTC rulings and all that kind of stuff. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Are we going to be able to continuously give you guys this information, free information? Well, the question's up in the air. One thing I know is I'm going to be posting on things like Flote.App, but it takes you guys actually following us over there and seeing those videos there and seeing the stories that I post there. I tend to post more in many ways on Flote than any other social media, because I actually believe in it and it's not censoring me. And of course, Kingsley, you're the CEO of Flote. Can you talk a little bit about Flote and why it's necessary when it comes especially to stuff like this, where they're covering up stories and they're not allowing people to tell the truth on things like YouTube, including about child trafficking rings? What do you think?
And we're seeing like a collusion like across the board with big tech. I mean, we've seen Apple, Google, Facebook, Twitter, all work in unison basically to censor important stories like this. And frankly, like they're really just shooting themselves in the foot from a business perspective, it seems like, as well, because this brings a lot of traffic. I mean, people naturally are curious and they want the truth, and we've just been fed lies for so long. So it's important, that content creators like yourself are on Flote, and you promote it to your audience, because I mean, as you've seen, engagement is pretty great, especially when you bring your audience over there. So we're just, like you said, we're rewinding the clock a bit. We're adding a lot of features that people are used to. We're trying to make it as user friendly as possible. We're still early. We still have a lot to do, but we're committed to the cause. And I've been a part of this kind of truth seeking movement for a while now, and I'm just glad to finally have a business that really supports people like yourself.
Yeah, and I mean it helps a lot of people, including video like gamers, makeup artists, kid toy opening reviews and stuff like that. I mean, we have to remember they're coming after basically kid-related content on YouTube right now. But in doing that, they're kind of coming after everyone, because I mean, they could just say, well, this content could technically be seen by children, so therefore we're just going to delete your channel. So I think it's really important when you type in the title of one of my videos with World Alternative Media after it, you look it up on YouTube and you still can't find my videos, it's the death of YouTube, guys. This is all mainstream media at this point, and you have these social media networks, these alternatives that are actually posing a risk to these major establishment social medias that are censoring people and controlling free information on the internet, which is extremely dangerous. I have to say, I mean, I've been on many alternative social medias, and Flote is by far the one I find has the most hope of actually becoming something really big down the line, and I have a lot of faith in it. And you know, the whole thing is replacing things like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon all in one, and with, you know, the ability to send crypto and have a crypto wallet, super chats, all that kind of stuff. I think that's important going down the line, and I think it's good for not only just independent media and people that talk about crazy conspiracy theories like myself, or talk about finance, or talk about, you know, the political system, anarchy, whatever it might be. It's also good for everyone else too, and I think that it opens a door for a lot of opportunity there. So I hope everyone goes to Flote.App, Flote.app. Find me at Josh Sigurdson as well as at Wham. Find Kingsley at King, and find us there. And you know, I think that you'll, the proof is in the pudding. Start using it, add some people, talk with some people, you know, post some statuses, comment on some statuses, build your community now when it's still kind of rising up, and you'll see for yourself that this is actually a really great social media network that isn't going to censor you and isn't going to control the narrative. And I don't even think there's even an algorithm, right? So I mean, like, I think this is really important going forward. So everyone could find us at Flote.App, Flote.app. Join now or join never, because at the end of the day, this channel is going to be gone probably in the next year and a half for sure, with the 2020 elections happening. I mean, come on, there's no hope in hell for us. So with that said, I mean, you go now, or else once we're gone, we can't tell you where we went, and we're just going to be disappearing from your news feed. It's a modern day book burning, so do whatever you can. We aren't going to cover up pedophilia here at Wham. So anyway, appreciate you joining us.
I was going to say, one other thing, the crazy thing about the YouTube update is that they're saying that, and they've already been doing this anyway, but now I guess they're making it more official. They're saying that they will, you know, potentially, not only do they have the right to ban anybody, which is, you know, whatever, it's a private company, well, private, but they also are saying that they will potentially delete creators or videos if it's not, it doesn't even break their community guidelines, but it's borderline. So what, you know, what does that mean? I mean, let's, you know, that's really the big thing about Flote is that, you know, we'll stick to our word. We're not just going to make, you know, whether it's an algorithm or some, you know, some employee that's biased against independent news like yourself. You know, we're just going to let things happen like they're supposed to on the internet. Yeah.
Right. I mean, the spread of free information at the end of the day should not be a controversial issue at all. And I don't think it'll be a controversial issue on things like Flote.App. I check those links below, guys. There's lots there to check out, and support independent media any way you can, because we need it now more than ever, because they are about to cut off the end of our income source completely, and possibly completely delete our channel. And that's the end of YouTube, guys. And you got to go somewhere else, or just ponder, you know, that decision and stay on YouTube and get only mainstream media and, you know, controlled information. Like, people left mainstream media to go to YouTube in the first place. Time to leave YouTube. So anyway, I appreciate you joining us. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson with Kingsley Edwards signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here at Wham, don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We cannot do it without you guys. Every donation is extremely, extremely appreciated, as we're getting incredibly shadow banned. We've lost 80% of our audience since January of 2019 and counting. They are ripping us apart here on YouTube, and the only thing we could do in the meantime as we prepare for the next big step is to ask for help from the viewers that support our free information that we try to post on a daily basis. You can also find us on Subscribestar, where just $1 a month, that's all it takes, $1 a month is all it takes to truly make a huge difference. If everyone gave $1 a month, it would change everything for independent media, and we could win this information war, and we could defeat the mainstream medias eventually. And of course, on Subscribestar, we post subscriber-only content that you'll only see on Subscribestar. So make sure to pledge there, become a Patreon. That makes a huge difference, guys. And also, don't forget to check out our Bitcoin address below in the comments and description, as well as on the screen for you to scan, if you please. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on the alternatives. We will likely be deleted by YouTube in the next 2 years. It's already happening on a vast scale, so make sure to find us on Flote.App. That's FLOTE.app. at Josh Sigurdson, as well as at WAM, W-A-M. Flote.app is replacing every social media, and I mean, it's just incredible the opportunities it provides for not just creators, but for the average person who wants to get away from these nannies telling them what they can or cannot see. They plan to replace Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon. You could subscribe to us on Flote and pledge with cryptocurrency. It's really innovative. We are also on BitChute at World Alternative Media, as well as so many others, Minds, PocketNet. You can find us at World Alternative Media on Instagram. There's many options. And finally, don't forget to join us at Anarchapulco 2020, the famous event, the best liberty event known to mankind, other than perhaps Anarcho Vegas 2020. There are 2 major events coming up that we are extremely excited about, and you can use promo code WAM, that's W-A-M, and save 10% on your tickets to these legendary conferences. There's so many amazing people speaking there. You won't want to miss it. So make sure to support in any way you can, even if it's just sharing our videos, pressing like, pressing to be notified. Anything helps, folks. You are the change you wish to see. Thanks for watching, everyone. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.
Thank you.